welcome to my online session on polarography. Today we will be discussing about this technique as an electroanalytical technique. And what is meant by electroanalytical? So where you have involved electrochemistry used for analytical purpose, it will be called as electroanalytical technique. Under this technique, we are going to learn two type of techniques, polarography and potentiometry. Polarography, this technique is actually based on principle of what we are going to have use of the polarizable electrode or micro electrode and how we can carry out the polarization at working electrode. So let us begin with the principle of polarography, what we are going to have, how we are going to have the electrochemical methods classified, development of polarography, how it took place, and polarography and voltammetry, what is the basic difference between these two techniques, and what was the need of micro electrode. So these are the aspects of our topic today we are going to cover. So let us talk about what is meant by voltammetry and polarography. So under this, electroanalytical techniques are classified into two major classes. One class that belongs to interfacial methods and the other class is called as bulk methods. So what is the difference between these two classes? Interfacial method talks about the processes that are taking near the electrode surface. So the phenomena that are monitored near the electrode surface is called as interfacial methods. And interfacial methods are further classified into two classes, that is static method and dynamic method. So what is the difference between static method and dynamic method? As the term says, static indicates that we are going to have the static processes that will be unaltered throughout the analysis. So what are the parameters that are altered in electroanalytical process? Current, potential, and what we are going to have the resistance, that is based on Ohm's law. So basically when we talk about interfacial method with static class, that talks about current with a magnitude of 0. So under this class, potentiometry and potentiometric titration that comes. So what is actually done in this type of method? We are going to have current that will be controlled to 0 value and we are going to record potential of the cell. This technique we are going to learn in detail in the next session. So but still what we are going to have the basic requirement there, we are having applied magnitude of current fixed at constant level of 0 in potentiometric method. That is the first static method where we are going to classify it under interfacial. Whatever processes are taking place near the electrode that are monitored in this interfacial method. Okay. The next is dynamic method. So in this dynamic method, what is done? So current is larger than 0. So in potentiometry, current was kept 0. In dynamic methods, we are having the current magnitude which will be greater than 0 and it is not fixed. So we can carry out it by either different ways. We can have controlled potential analysis and controlled current analysis. These are the two subclasses further we can classify under dynamic method. What can be varied? We can either vary potential, we can either vary current. So this variation, depending upon that, these are further classified. Dynamic methods are further classified. Controlled potential and controlled current, right? So under controlled potential, we have this polarography and voltammetry classified. So what is done? We are going to control potential, fix potential at particular magnitude, or we can have this control made by the applied potential and we can monitor current. What is happening with current, that will be monitored. So under this technique we can have constant, what we are going to have constant electrode potential coulometry. This coulometry is a term which relates with measurement of coulombs. So that is also there, but you can learn them in the higher classes. You can have Q, that is coulombs, electricity, that will be measured, and that will be related with quantity of the substance. So that is another class of electroanalytical methods. We are interested in this voltammetry. What we are going to do? We are going to measure current with respect to function of potential. We have another class, that is amperometric titration. In amperometric titration, what is again the phenomena? We are going to fix a certain magnitude of potential, but as titration term involved. What is indicated by that? Instead of scanning a potential, we can have a fixed magnitude of potential kept on the working electrode, and we can have addition of an titrant into the vessel, and what is happening with current, that is amperes, that will be recorded. So that is amperometric titration. The next is electrogravimetry. What is electrogravimetry? We can have the weight of analyte related by passing particular fixed magnitude of electricity. So we can apply Faraday's law of electrolysis and relate with quantity of substance deposited on the electrode, and we can relate that as the technique as electrogravimetry. So that will be also studied in higher classes. We are going to study this two, voltammetry and amperometric titration. Similarly, what we are going to have there, coulometric titration, which will be associated with measurement of coulomb by addition of titrant. But here it is something different. We are not going to have addition of titrant, but that will be what we consider, it will be having titrant that will be generated in the electrolysis process. So electroanalytical technique where we are going to have generation of an titrant which is going to stoichiometrically relate or react with analyte, that is done in coulometric titration. Okay, so we can have these dynamic methods under which we are going to study polarography as our technique. Okay, under bulk method, you might have done this in the lower classes. What bulk method suggests? They are taking place in the solution. Electrolyte, what is happening throughout the solution, that is monitored, that is classified under bulk method. Interfacial method talks about the processes that are taking place at the face of the electrode. We are classifying potentiometry, polarography, voltammetry, amperometric titration under interfacial method. Bulk method, what is happening in the solution, that is studied, that is conductometry or conductometric titrations. Okay, so I hope you understood about the type of classification of electroanalytical technique. Today we are going to learn about polarography. So before starting with polarography, let me revise what we are going to have the basic requirement for electrochemistry. What we require for electrochemistry? Electrolyte solution and two electrodes. One will behave as cathode and another will behave as anode. This makes a complete cell. So what is meant by cathode? Where we are going to have reduction process associated. What is meant by anode? Where oxidation is taking place. And the net EMF of the cell will be given by Nernst equation. Suppose if we take a cell whereby you are having silver chloride solution, that is what we are going to add as the electrolyte, and we are going to have the another electrode that will be an standard hydrogen electrode taken as the reference electrode. Why we require reference electrode? We have working electrode at which the process of analyte is going to work or take place to give us the either potential variation or either current variation depending upon what is process associated with it. So what is done in this process with respect to a standard reference electrode? What processes are taking place at working electrode that are monitored? So whenever we talk about a system, one electrode will behave as a reference electrode and another will behave as the working electrode. So for this example, what will be a standard reference electrode? It will be a reference electrode hydrogen electrode. This gives the reaction as H2 producing 2H plus. So what is happening with the silver? Silver from the solution is going to get deposited as silver solid into the on the electrode surface, right? So obviously how you represent this cell? at left hand side, cell representation also follows rules. So what is meant by a single line? This indicates that boundary potential is associated. One single line indicates the phase change. That is, solid electrode is separated from the solution. If you have two lines indicated into cell representation, they talk about the liquid-liquid junction potential. So we are going to have a single phase separation over here that indicates that one, that is solid electrode, is separated from the solution and there is no salt bridge over here. Okay, so solution itself is in contact with the, both electrodes are dipped into the same solution system. What is taken as the electrolyte? 0.01 molar silver chloride saturated. So this is the solution inside which we have the chloride ions that are unknown. So this forms the half cell, silver plus, that forms the another half cell. So on left hand side and right hand side, what are electrodes used or what they are going to form a cell, that will be also having a particular conditions. What is represented on the left hand side? What we are going to have standard reference electrode as hydrogen, right? And what is happening with hydrogen? It is getting oxidized. So what I told you in the beginning, what is anode? Where oxidation takes place. That means on the left hand side you are representing anode. On right hand side, what is happening with silver ions? Ag plus is getting converted to Ag. That means what is happening with Ag? Ag is getting reduced, right? So we have this particular process that we are going to have this cell represented, and we can say that E right minus E left, that will be our total EMF of the cell. What is EMF of cell? Given by Ag, what we are going to have Ag plus and H plus H2. This will give us the total EMF of cell. Okay, and how E cell is given by a Nernst equation? It gives us E0 cell, that is standard potential of the cell, minus RT upon NF log of or ln, what we are going to have activity of product upon activity of reactant, right? So this is what we are going to use the equation in all electroanalytical problems or type of techniques that we are going to discuss. Okay, so let us begin with our topic, what we are going to have, polarography. Now, what was the requirement of or development of polarography? So Jaroslav Harovsky is the father of electroanalytical methods. He invented this polarographic technique in 1922. This technique was needed to be designed when we are talking about very small concentration analyte that can be studied by polarization of the electrode. So the design of the electrode was done by Harovsky, and he designed electrode which will be of very small size. What is called as small size electrode? They are called as micro electrode system. So what was the need of this micro electrode? See, when we say larger surface area, that will be related with what we are going to have the resistance. What we are going to have resistance related with area, R is equal to length upon A, right? So when we want any applied potential to be given for a larger surface area electrode, it resists to change. So for macro electrode or for larger size electrode, it was impossible to vary potential applied to it, and that was the need to design small size micro electrode, and here from it took birth of polarizable micro electrode. So whatever electrodes that we discussed in our earlier classes which were having a larger surface area or macro electrode, they resist the change in the potential, and that's why the potential is fixed to a particular magnitude and we cannot see what we can apply to it. So there was a need of designing an electrode system which can accompany a very small size. So how we took the metal to be used as the micro electrode? So mercury is selected as the metal system. Why? Because it can form a very small drop behaving as an electrode system, and on that surface what are phenomena is taking place with respect to current, that can find out how much will be smaller concentration of the analyte. So we can go for very small micro concentrations of the analyte that can be studied by use of this micro electrode system by polarizing the electrode. So this term polarography actually comes from this micro electrode system which are capable to get polarized. What is meant by polarization? It indicates that it can accept whatever potential given to it very easily because of smaller size. So generally when we talk about small micro electrode, they are polarizable electrode, whereas macro electrode, they are non-polarizable electrode. So calomel electrode or any other electrode that you might have studied, silver electrode, platinum electrode, these or glass electrode, these are non-polarizable electrode. They comes into the class of non-polarizable macro electrode. Dropping mercury electrode, this is the electrode system designed by Heroski. Okay, and this is the field of polarography which strictly sticks with the dropping mercury electrode. Now there are many techniques which are designed with a micro electrode system, and that's why we classify this all electroanalytical techniques under using micro electrodes as voltammetry, and DME, using DME the class will be called as polarography. Okay, so the field of voltammetry developed from polarography. Actually polarography is the original technique that was developed by using dropping mercury electrode system behaving as a micro electrode, and later on there were many micro electrodes designed, and then there was a class which came in picture as voltammetry. Under that we are going to have this polarography. Okay, so the technique of polarography and voltammetry actually involves study of current voltage curves. So when electrolysis is carried out for solution using two electrodes, one of small surface area that is called as micro electrode and another is of large surface area, this process is going to give us the current voltage study carried out, and that will be called as polarography. Okay, so let us talk about how we are going to have this dropping mercury electrode design. See, here you are going to have mercury reservoir. So in this we are going to fill mercury. Here it is going to have a tubing attached to a rubber, and that can fix a glass capillary at the end. So this fine glass capillary is as fine as you can see a thermometer. So inside thermometer, how you see the mercury falling up or down as you are having change in the temperature. Same way from the reservoir we are going to have that mercury coming out at the end and forming a drop. Okay, so that leads to behave as the electrode surface. So this will be in contact with platinum, and that will be connected to a resistor, and where you are going to have a voltmeter which is going to provide us the potential required magnitude, and a potentiometer which can monitor the potential on the surface. Here at the end you can have the mercury pull behaving as the another electrode system. Okay, so the large surface area here, it is mercury pull, that is behaving as the positive terminal of the electrode system. Okay, so generally dropping mercury electrode behaves as cathode, and the other electrode, large surface area electrode, most oftenly behaves as the anode. Okay, so mercury reservoir to which rubber tubing is attached bearing a fixed glass capillary is having length of 10 to 15 centimeter and internal diameter of 0.5 millimeter, which acts as the cathode. Okay, so what is actually phenomena that is going to take place at the dropping mercury electrode? When we take any analyte in the solution, and that where we are carrying out a particular potential scan, what is done with the potential scan? We are going to vary potential. Potential will be changed from a certain magnitude from 0 in positive direction or 0 to negative direction. Keep in this mind that when you scan from 0 to positive, there will be an oxidation process and that working electrode will behave as anode. Okay. Whereas when we go into negative direction, that is from 0 to negative potential, then the electrode, working electrode, will behave as cathode, and there you are going to have the reduction process taking place. Okay. So this is how we are going to carry out the processes in polarography. What is done? We are going to scan potential in either of the direction as per the requirement. Whether you are having analyte as cation, then you have requirement of dropping mercury electrode to behave as cathode, and thereby you have this dropping mercury electrode scan in the negative direction, right? Negative potential scan that will be followed. So advantage of dropping mercury electrode, why it was selected? See, it is going to give us the drop formation. As from the reservoir, the mercury is going to fall. It will form a particular drop. It will rise its size up to a larger maxima, and then it will get detached. So every time you have the process of electrolysis carried out at the electrode surface, you are going to have this renewable surface. So it is going to have renewable smooth surface, therefore more reproducible current magnitudes with potential scan. So we can have repeatedly analysis performed with the same electrode system, as it is going to have every time new drop behaving as the electrode. Next is what? When many metal ions, what we are going to study as the analyte, they form amalgam. Might have heard about amalgam. This is what we have, metal forming Hg salt, and this particular metal amalgam is non-dissociative, or it is more stable. So amalgam removes that metal cation from the solution and gets it to the mercury pool at the bottom. So it is removing out whatever is the product formed in the electrolysis. So many metal ions form amalgam. It is an irreversible formation of amalgam, and that's why it will be not interfering in the analysis. Okay. Now we have no contamination at the surface, because every time you have the amalgam formation and it will be taken out. It will be not having any surface that will be contaminated with the product. Okay. So that is an advantage of dropping mercury electrode. We have optimum range of potential applied is in 0.4 to minus 2 volt. What this 0.4 to minus 2 volt indicates? That it can have a potential scan carried out up to plus 0.4 volts. In the positive direction, it can go from 0 to 0.4, and it can go to minus 2 volt up to minus 1.8 volt. Most oftenly, many of the metal cation get reduced. So it can be applied as a cathode. Why? Because from the periodic table, whatever metal cations are there, their reduction potential ranges up to minus 1.8 volts. So it is sufficient to carry out all analysis of metal cations by using dropping mercury electrode. But see, it will be only applied to plus 0.4 volt. Why? What must be the reason? As you go for positive Moore scan, that is potential if it is scanned in positive direction, what is the phenomena? Oxidation. So mercury itself can get oxidized to Hg1 or Hg2's form. So itself forms a oxidative wave, and that's why instead of having an anion getting oxidized, mercury itself is getting oxidized at the electrode from the electrode, and that's why it cannot get applied as the anode. So it has limitation to apply as anode in the positive direction. Okay, so the restricted or optimum range for dropping mercury electrode is from 0.4 to minus 2 volt. Okay, so we have the another advantage, as due to hydrogen over voltage with respect to mercury, most metallic ions can be reduced. So again, it comes as up to minus 1.8 volt. Even what we are going to have from hydrogen coming out from solvent system, it can produce an over voltage, and that over voltage magnitude can go up to minus 2.6 volts. So this can lead to have complete reduction of most of the metal cations. So this is what we are going to call it as over voltage. Whatever predicted above that magnitude, if it is given in the system, this is called as over voltage, and that will be due to hydrogen over voltage from the media. Whatever medium solvent is taken is an aqueous solution. So most often you have hydrogen from aqueous system, and that can produce an over voltage, and that can lead to have a complete reduction of most of the metal cations. So most oftenly you can say that from this all advantages we can confirm that dropping mercury electrode can behave very easily as a cathode, and it can be applied for most of the metal cation. Now let us talk about what is disadvantage of dropping mercury electrode. What is dropping mercury electrode? It is an electrode system which will be micro electrode polarizable electrode, where we are going to apply any potential it can accept very easily because of its smaller size. Okay, so disadvantage of dropping mercury electrode is what? Area of micro electrode constantly varies with growth of drop. So as you say, you can have a drop formation process. From smaller size, it can form a drop in a larger magnitude and get detached. So what happens with this? As you are changing the area, obviously current value will also fluctuate. So there will be a certain noise created with the growth of micro electrode. So as you change the size or area with the drop formation process, there is variation in current, and this variation makes an up and down as you are going to have the growth and detachment process associated with the dropping mercury electrode. If this noise is larger than the concentration of analyte, we are unable to determine very smaller concentration. So that is a limitation. So dropping mercury electrode limits its application to a certain concentration range. Below that, it is not sensitive. Why is not sensitive? Because of formation and detachment of drop of mercury produces noise in the current. So baseline will be formed with some variation in current. Current grows as growth of size is there, and current becomes zero as the detachment of drop takes place. The next disadvantage of dropping mercury electrode is mercury is easily oxidizable. So what is it? It is easily oxidized in positive applied potential. As I told you, positive plus 0.4 volts. Above that magnitude we cannot go. So above that, what happens? Itself gets oxidized. Mercury forms mercury 1 or mercury 2 ion. So due to oxidation, mercury is not applicable as anode. Okay, so that can limit its application to anode. Many times when we purify mercury, even though there will be some fine fiber like substances that can clog the capillary, as we have already seen, the size of or inner diameter of mercury capillary is of 3 millimeter. So if as the flow of mercury is going to take place, if it is clogged by some impurity, it cannot form the drop. So it is very many times it becomes tedious process to clean that capillary so that there will be easy flow or fine flow of the mercury. So it is a tedious process it becomes to clean or purify mercury. The next is mercury is very poisonous. So you might have heard about this, and that's why we limit it as a chemical to be used. So very oftenly if we go, as Hedosky also landed up into his health issues because of repetitive use of mercury. So though he got the Nobel Prize, he was working on mercury. Initially he was not aware about the poisonous nature of mercury, what it can cause to it, but it had an hazardous effect on his body, and that's why the conclusion can created, or what we are going to have, the poisonous nature limited the use of dropping mercury electrode system as micro electrode. Now let us talk about what is polarographic analysis affected by. So in this session, actually what is the current voltage graph that is studied. So polarography indicates that polarization at electrode is studied. Up till now we discussed about polarization of the electrode. What is polarization? We are changing potential, applied potential with respect to a macro electrode, and we are studying what is happening with the current. So what is actually happening with the current? That what are different factors affecting on polarographic analysis, that we will see in this section. Okay, what we are going to understand, what is meant by residual current, what is meant by migration current, what is meant by diffusion current and limiting current. So these are the parameters that are going to come from polarograph. Okay, so what is polarograph? We will see that this is y-axis, which is going to represent current, right? And on x-axis we are going to have potential applied with respect to standard Calomel electrode. Okay. Now when we observe that we are going to have a negative scan. So what is meant by negative scan? We have already talked. It is behaving as a cathode, and we are going to have reduction process that will be taking place on the dropping mercury electrode. So the process that is going to take place in the solution, that analyte is there, right? So we are going to have analyte. Initially, the concentration of analyte is in millimolar concentration. So it will not be able to carry initial magnitude of current. So what we do in this polarographic study, we add some another supporting electrolyte. So along with the analyte, we have another electrolyte which support this analyte to carry initial magnitude of current. Okay, so as we are going to very small concentration of analyte, the another electrolyte which is of known composition and of higher concentration is added into the solution, which will be called as supporting electrolyte. Okay. Now what is selected as supporting electrolyte? On what basis we are going to select this supporting electrolyte? See, we want an electrolyte which will not get decomposed in the applied magnitude of potential for analyte. Suppose in this case, where from you are going? From 0 to minus 1 volt. So up to that magnitude, that electrolyte, which is known electrolyte, acting as supporting electrolyte, will not get decomposed. What is meant by decomposition potential? It is the potential magnitude at which analyte gets oxidized or reduced at the electrode, which is acting as anode or cathode respectively. Okay, so when we say that if supporting electrolyte used should not get decomposed, that indicates that if analyte is a metal cation, it will have reduction of that metal cation at cathode. So in that potential magnitude, whatever behaving as electrolyte, supporting electrolyte, should not get decomposed. So such kind of electrolyte is chosen as the supporting electrolyte. That is first criteria. The another criteria is that it should be completely dissociated, or it will be a strong electrolyte that can behave as supporting electrolyte. What is meant by strong electrolyte? Completely dissociated. So it will have high transport number. In conductometry, you might have talked about this transport number. It is having high mobility. It can carry easily charge, and that will be the character which is selecting a type of electrolyte which will behave as supporting electrolyte. Most oftenly, we can use an salt of potassium that can behave as supporting electrolyte. KCl will be selected as supporting electrolyte. And why we are selecting it? Because potassium and Cl minus, these are the positive and negative ions, they don't interfere in the analysis. They have high decomposition potential magnitudes, and that's why we have this KCl that can be used as the supporting electrolyte in the solution. So see, up till now we said that analyte is there and supporting electrolyte is there, and we are going to have this supporting electrolyte. What it is going to do initially, it is going to carry initial current, that is called as residual current. Okay, so initial current is carried by this supporting electrolyte in the solution until and unless you have decomposition potential of analyte is reached. Okay, so decomposition of metal cation here in this picture starts taking place at minus 0.4 volt. So up till this process, whatever is the magnitude of current, that will be carried by the supporting electrolyte. Okay, so now when this magnitude reaches minus 0.4 volts, when we change the potential applied to dropping mercury electrode, see, we are having a dropping mercury electrode drop formation process, and we are going to apply potential scan, okay, from 0 to negative direction. So we are going to have fixed potential rate change in the potential that will be applied to that electrode system. So we are going to reach to minus 0.4 volt. At that potential, what happens? Whatever is the analyte, that will be getting decomposed at the electrode, and that will give us Faradic current. So what is meant by Faradic current? Suppose if we apply a certain magnitude of potential to the electrode system, then the process by which we are going to have decomposition of analyte taking place at the electrode, that magnitude of current, that will be called as Faradic current. Okay, so unless and until if analyte is not accepting that charge and getting decomposed or getting discharged, then that will be giving a non-Faradic current. So whatever initial process that we talked in this graph, that was residual current, that was also a non-Faradic current. Okay, here from minus 0.4 volts we are having a rise in the potential magnitude. As we are changing the potential to higher negative magnitude, there will be rise in the current because of decomposition of analyte taking place at the electrode. Okay, now see what happens in the process. Let us talk about what is the residual current region, the three regions one by one. So what is the first region? We talk the small non-Faradic current that flows through the cell before deposition of electroactive species, and its magnitude depends on nature and amount of indifferent electrolyte. Indifferent electrolyte is also called as supporting electrolyte. So this was our first region. Okay, what we call it as? We called it as supporting electrolyte. What is used as for supporting electrolyte? The potassium salt like potassium chloride, potassium nitrate in the concentration range of 0.10 molar. See, this is 100 times of that of the analyte. We are taking sample in millimolar concentration and supporting electrolyte in 0.10 molar concentration, that is 100 times greater than that of analyte. So whatever is potential applied initially, who is in a larger concentration, that will carry the current, right? And that will be non-Faradic current because potential is not sufficient to cause decomposition of potassium salt, as we discussed. What are selected as supporting electrolyte? Those salt which are not going to decompose in that potential magnitude. So they are just accepting and making a charge created on the electrode system, and this process is measured as residual current. So metal, when submerged in an electrolyte, are covered with an electrical double layer of positively and negatively charged ions by the supporting electrolyte. So potential applied decides capacity of double layer and hence charging current varies. So initial process of charging will be dependent upon capacity of applied potential, magnitude and supporting electrolyte. This is also called as capacitive current, alright, or charging current. See what we discussed. We discussed that initially when we are going to apply certain magnitude of potential, whatever potential is insufficient to carry decomposition of analyte. So what will come in picture? It is supporting electrolyte. This supporting electrolyte, why it is coming in picture? Because it is larger in concentration as compared to analyte. So it easily carries charge and gives the charging of the electrode surface, forming a electrical double layer. This is recorded as residual current. Okay, so this indifferent electrolyte contains traces of impurities. You know that any chemical has its label giving us assay value and exhibits some percent impurities in it. So it contributes to small imperceptible current, and that is superimposed on this charging current, capacitive current, or also called as condenser current. Okay, so all are one and the same term which are defined under residual current. It is combination of non-Faradic process with what we are going to have the condensing of the metal surface, electrode surface by the supporting electrolyte. Okay, so this is the first section of our polarograph which talks about residual current region. Okay, so that focus on use of supporting electrolyte and how it is going to play an important role in the analysis. The next is migration current. So when electroactive material reaches the surface of the electrode by two processes. What are the two processes? First is migration of charged particle in electric field, okay, caused by potential difference between the electrode surface and the solution. So suppose if the potential range is not sufficient, how we can say that? Suppose if you are pushed with a force and that force is not sufficient to make you fall down, okay, then what will happen? You will just move in the forward direction, but you will not fall from the place, right? So if we are applying a potential difference across this micro electrode and macro electrode, which is insufficient to cause decomposition, then what will happen with the analyte? Analyte is not going to come in picture, okay. Supporting electrolyte is going to migrate. Even that is not going to decompose. Why it is not going to decompose? It is having decomposition potential greater in magnitude than that of analyte. Okay. So like analyte, it is also not going to decompose, but it is going to migrate from its place. Okay. Why is that so? Because there is a force, potential difference that is applied across, and it is forming a barrier across the solution and the electrode surface. Okay, so that is called as migration current. So even if you are having some impurities that are along with that supporting electrolyte present, that will also migrate and form this migration current, and that is suppressed by supporting electrolyte. So who is going to suppress this migration current? See, we don't want any migration current to be arised. We don't have any analyte to be migrating at the electrode surface. We just want to condense, charge the electrode. Why is the need of charging current required in the system? So that there will be flow of current smoothly taking place in the solution. So initial requirement of flow of current that will be satisfied by charging process or capacitive process or condensing process. Okay, that is done by residual current or by supporting electrolyte. So suppose if we are having some migration taking place, like in conductometry how we have migration of ions, that will what we are going to interfere with the supporting electrolyte performance, and that's why we can suppress this phenomena by increasing concentration of supporting electrolyte 100 times to that of analyte. So now nobody will migrate from its position. They will be there as it is. They will be not producing any migration current. Alright. So who will suppress migration current? It is again supporting electrolyte. Who is going to give the non-Faradic current? It is supporting electrolyte. And supporting electrolyte is also called as indifferent electrolyte. Okay. This is the one process by which we are going to have the electroactive species moving on the surface of the electrode. So one process is suppressed completely. Migration process is suppressed. Now what is the next type of process? It is diffusion of particles. What is meant by diffusion? See, when we have rush, and inside the rush, if you want to move yourself in the forward direction, right? Then what you do, you make a side, that you push aside the rush and make your path to have your mobility met, right? So what is happening with analyte? It is surrounded with this supporting electrolyte, which is of larger concentration. So when what we are going to have, the potential applied reaches the magnitude of the decomposition potential of analyte, it is the same way how you are called up from your rush. If your teacher comes in front of you and calls your name and there is a large rush, then what happens to you? You are going to make a way and move towards the teacher. So same process is happening. Now electrode is telling that analyte, now come, you are going to come in picture. So that decomposition potential is given to the electrode. Now that wants to come into electrode surface by a process, and it makes that process that is called as diffusion of the particle from bulk to the electrode surface. Okay, from bulk or from the solution, it is going to diffuse and make a path on the electrode surface. So these are the two processes. First process is completely suppressed by supporting electrolyte, and the second process is controlled by concentration of analyte in the solution. Okay, so as you have the decomposition potential reached by applied potential magnitude on the electrode, that analyte is going to get decomposed. Whatever is in the vicinity of the dropping mercury electron, of that drop, whatever is in the vicinity, that will first get decomposed, and after that, where from you will have analyte? From bulk it will move, and how the movement will be? It will be diffusion controlled, and this is called as diffusion current. Alright, so due to diffusion of particles, indifferent electrolyte is added in concentration so large that its ion carry essentially all the current, that is of 100-fold of electroactive species. Okay, I hope you understood what are the things up till now discussed. We discussed about initial residual current, what is the role of supporting electrolyte, and how the different type of currents that are recorded. Now when we have diffusion controlled current, this is Faradic current. Faradic current, actually electroactive species is getting decomposed. So when that magnitude is reached, the process which limits the concentration of electroactive species near the electrode to a magnitude, so that will be forming a plateau in the curve, that is called as limiting current. Okay, so this diffusion will take place till what process? Suppose if the rush is of larger size and your size is so small that you are not capable to make a path, then what will happen to the movement? It will limit your approach towards the front, right? So same way, even though potential is reached, the analyte is not capable to make its path, and it limits its value to a certain height, and that height will be called as limiting current. So supporting electrolyte carry all the current, and potential gradient is compressed or shortened to a region very close to electrode surface that is no longer operative to attract electroactive species. Under this condition, limiting current is diffusion current. Alright, and this diffusion current is governed by various factors and are defined by Ilkovic equation. Okay, so thank you. We will stop here for today's session.